The captains of your Eagles are Grace Hoff-Hines and Hannah Peterson. The referee and starter for today's meet are Mike Berkstrand and Tom Boast. Today, Kennedy will swim in lanes 4, 5, and 6. Tri-City will swim in lanes 1, 2, and 3. Please silence all electronic devices and stand for the national anthem, sung by Grace Hoff-Hines.
Bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Great thing about starting off the meet with the medley relay is you really get that team atmosphere right away from the start. So with swimming, it can look like an individual sport, but really it's a team sport. And so starting off our meet with this 200 medley relay really just gives us that team vibe and team atmosphere, as I'm sure you can feel in the air
Oh,
here.
yes. Yeah, both schools are in full force, of course, today for tonight's swim meet, and of course cheering vigorously, as they probably should be. Of course, they're doing a good job of it too to help set the tone on both sides of the pool. That's always really important when you get the morale factor going early on, just to establish that tone. That's very much needed, especially considering that swimming is one of the toughest endurance sports, by the way.
Oh, it has a great endurance factor.
Varsity relay medley up next. Great night for swimming here at Oak Grove Middle School. Alex Redding alongside Courtney Ramirez. Very integral in Kennedy's swim program. Has been an alum of the swimming program for Kennedy. Also has been an assistant coach as well. Very well versed with this bunch of Kennedy Eagles tonight as they take on Tri-City United as the Titans look to come away with a non-conference win. But Kennedy making it very difficult.
So in lanes 3 and 4, we have a great race going on. Lane 5, part of that same race. So when we are scoring, only the varsity is scored for relays. It's scored 8 points for first place, 4 points for second place, and 2 points for third place. So it's really important to get that first place spot. It gets you 4 points over the other team right away.
And you cannot score more than 2 relays in each event, so every single athlete out there has to really hustle when they are in the lanes. And Kennedy has done a really good job tonight. They really set a great tone in the JV 200-meter relay medley. Really nice battle going on in lanes 3 and 4. And Tri-City United, nice finish at the end on lane 3.
And we'll see what happens here. Hannah Peterson just dove in, swimming butterfly for the Eagles. Hannah has a knack for catching whoever is in front of her. She does not like losing. You will see her slowly but surely catching up here. She does a great job of that as an athlete, is seeing that person in front of her and using that as a goal to get to them or past them.
Well, we'll see if she can make it ahead to the finish. Not quite, but still very agile swimmer.
And Natalie Wenner now for the freestyle. Let's see if she can catch up. It looks like it could easily be head-to-head.
Very much so.
Coming out of this turn is really crucial, so you'll see Natalie just picked up a lot of ground in the turn.
And yes, she did.
Turns are so essential in swimming.
Exactly,
So
to get that good push-off. And Kennedy making a lot of noise.
So now it's all about that third place finish, and it looks like we are going to be having Olivia Kaufman coming in to get that third place spot.
And again, folks, as we are going to mention again here, for the relay scoring 8 points for first place, 4 for second, 2 for third. You cannot score more than 2 relays in each relay event.
And we have Tri-City United finishing up the last length of their 200 medley relay with their freestyler.
Which?
girls. We are on to the junior varsity girls 200-yard freestyle.
We do not have any swimmers from TCU in this event, but in lane 4, swimming for the Eagles, is Ava Price, lane 5, Sydney Rose, and lane 6, Olivia Kaufman. One thing that's unique about this season is that as we have a shortened season due to the state of the world right now, we have some rookie athletes that are really quickly being put into events that normally we wouldn't be putting rookie athletes in right away. So Olivia Kaufman is in lane 6, is a first-year swimmer. She did spend some time over the summer training, but as you can see, she is doing excellent in this, and we're really trying to push the athletes to get into some uncomfortable events. Normally in a season, we have the ability to try out different events, but have a kind of main lineup that we stick to figure out what the best spots are for girls throughout the season and into the championship season. But this year we've really had to push girls into spots and switch up our lineups a lot more. So that's a really cool and unique thing about this season. We also have, of our 3 rookies on the team this year, all of them are siblings of either the girls or boys team. And the Eagles have adopted this the motto of one team, one family. Even though we have boys and girls and they swim different seasons, we really are one team and one family. And I think that just really rings true with our rookie swimmers. They are literally family, but have also kind of made a family thing of joining the swim teams.
Absolutely fantastic. You know, that's very interesting. You don't see that too often, especially in high school sports. And of course, I'm sure the chemistry is really amazing. Right, and meanwhile for Kennedy, the only team in the water right now for the JV 200-yard freestyle. Sydney Rose doing very, very well for Kennedy.
So Sydney Rose in the lead, and Ava Price not too far behind. This is one of Sydney's typical events to swim, something that she really enjoys swimming. And so it's fun to see her out here just really crushing it, beasting through the water. Swimming is a nice balance of, as we were talking about, that team sport, especially with relays and scoring points, but also that individual sport in terms of trying to beat best times and getting personal bests.
Right, and the second that you hit the water, that clock starts. Right, and so on lane 5, Sydney Rose will get first. On lane 4, Eva Price, and then Olivia Kaufman finishing up the JV 200-yard freestyle for the junior varsity.
Our next event, the 200-yard freestyle, Varsity.
All right, now it is time to make way for the varsity squad for the 200-yard freestyle. So again, tonight, the order of how the lanes are going to be occupied. Tri-City United will have lanes 1, 2, and 3. Kennedy will have 4, 5, and 6. In lane 1, Mackenzie Askland. In lane 2, Brooklyn Cathel. And McKenna Street in lane 3, all for Tri-City United. And for Kennedy, we have Kayla Schletty, Dakota, I'm not sure. Lewick, yes,
Lewick,
a little
yes.
bit. All right, just wanted to make sure that the pronunciation was correct there. And of course, Annika Anderson in 6, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, for the Kennedy Eagles.
And so
Kennedy
I know that we mentioned this earlier, but in terms of scoring, only the varsity heat scores. And now we are on to individual events. So scoring for individual events, first place gets 6 points, then second place gets 4 points, third place gets 3 points, and so on. So the 6th place person gets 0 points. So kind of sometimes the name of the game is not to have that many last places. So you want a lot of first places and not a lot of last places. Really how the scoring works out.
Very much so. Thank you so much, Courtney. And by the way, you cannot score more than 3 individual swimmers in each individual event. And as you mentioned, no scoring in JV heats, as we are about to get set for the varsity heat.
Yep, so as if people are watching and they're trying to score on their own and it's not matching up with what you are seeing on the scoreboard, make sure that you are only scoring those varsity events.
That's exactly right.
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties that might be getting fixed here.
Well, the scoreboard seems to have kept the numbers from the JV heat just a moment ago. And so they are working to try and clear the scoreboard here for the varsity heat.
So, Courtney, it's been a very interesting year with the pandemic, all of that. So, and I assume prep for this season has been extra special and very different. So kind of talk about that, how Kennedy has had to prep for this swimming season in particular.
Well, first I want to say that we are very thankful that we are able to have a season. I know that our athletes, the coaches, parents, everybody's just feels very lucky that we are able to have a season. It was touch and go there for a little bit where we weren't sure of if we were going to have a season, if we were going to be able to have swim meets, competition with other teams. And so we are very happy with how it turned out. We're lucky to, even though we might not be able to have fans in the stands, I know that all of the athletes are pumped that they get to actually race. And then our season is a little bit shortened this year as well. So that's something that's unique this year with the current situation. So they just stepped up on the blocks and are about to start the Varsity 200 Freestyle.
All right, let's get ready to watch. Kennedy, the last 3 lanes, and Tri-City United, the first 3. All right, we are in the water. Kennedy out to a really, really nice lead, and in lane 4, Kayla Schletty leading the way for the Kennedy Eagles.
Yep, so you'll notice lanes 4 and 5 for the Eagles, both freshmen, both 9th graders. So they have long careers ahead of them.
Yes, they do.
Yes, long careers ahead of them, and they're out to a great start. They're both great, strong athletes. We also have Annika Anderson. She is one of our juniors on the team this year, and she is a tremendous addition to our team. So you'll see it looks like she has a good race with the person in lane 3, McKenna Streed.
McKenna Streed.
Yeah, so it looks like it'll be Dakota Lewick and Kayla Schletty that race for first place, and then Annika Anderson and McKenna Streed with a race for that 3rd place spot. That's how it's looking right now. A lot can change though in 200 yards.
Exactly. Swimming is an endurance sport, as we mentioned earlier. And of course, Kennedy very dominant in lanes 4 and 5 again. That is Kayla Schletty and Dakota Lewick.
Both athletes that we are fortunate to be able to put in lots of different events, so it's fun to see them swimming this side by side tonight. It's not common that we see them swimming the same event, racing each other, and so it'll be a good race. Some on-team rivalry.
Exactly. Definitely 4 bragging rights, and I'm sure there will be some chatter back in the locker room about that, I assume.
I'm sure, and I'm sure tomorrow at practice as well. So
well, at least the mood is good. That's exactly what you want to build.
Always. So as we were talking about the end of the season here, there are still talks with the Minnesota State High School League about what the end of the season is going to look like. But the season is about a month shorter than it normally is. So it looks like it will end around mid-October to late October, depending on what the end of the season officially looks like. Oh, and we just had Dakota Lewick finishing in first place.
And then Kayla Schletty in second place. And in 4th place in lane 2 for Tri-City United, that is.
I think that was
that was an error. I was kind of second guessing it. I'm like, that doesn't look quite right. All right, there we go. Scoreboard correction. All right, and lane 6 finishing up in 3rd is Annika Anderson for Kennedy. So the Kennedy Eagles grabbing the 1, 2, and 3 place spots.
So that is 13 points.
13 whole points. That is going to put Kennedy at 23 now for the total. Kennedy off to a very great start tonight. Glad you could be with us, folks, for girls swimming and diving here at Oak Grove. Kennedy versus Tri-City United as the Eagles host the Titans. And again, the last two swimmers for Tri-City going to finish up the 200-yard varsity freestyle. Very, very well done on that 200-yard freestyle, I must say, Courtney, with Kennedy taking the top 3 spots really, really quick.
Yes, that was a big event. Kennedy walking away with 13 points from that event and Tri-City walking away with 3. It's events like that that can really help the overall scoring, especially because Kennedy does not have any divers. That only Tri-City United is able to score points in that event, so it'll be important for Kennedy to gain as many points as we can to make up for that.
Good mention, indeed. Next up, it is the girls' 200-yard individual medley for junior varsity. And some technical issues here again.
In these racing sports, it's always about making sure that we have the correct timing equipment, that we are able to get the most accurate time possible. So while other sports might not have to deal with these things as much, it's really important that our touchpads are working properly at all times. So looks like that's what they're working on a bit here.
All right.
Changing out a touchpad, and hopefully this next one will work a little bit better.
All right, hopefully the scoreboard issue can get settled down here. And again, no JV swimmers for the 200-yard individual medley for Kennedy, or rather Tri-City United. Swimming in lanes 4, 5, and 6. In lane 4, Amelia Baird, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Lane 5, Selena Sang, and 6, Natalie Graymont for Kennedy.
So as I'm sure you've noticed just from looking at the lineup so far, we do have a younger team. We have 3 seniors this year. We do have a pretty big junior team, but looking at the team, there's a lot of depth in that younger age group, and so I think there's going to be a lot of success to come for the Kennedy Eagles.
A lot of time for development, which of course, high school athletes. I mean, I know myself being a golfer for Kennedy in my time, especially my senior year, I always made it a mention that there wasn't enough time to get extra reps, and of course, it's always very important for athletes because in these prep sport type events,
so this 200 individual medley is one of the hardest events in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's not an event that everybody can necessarily swim. You have to have 4 legal strokes, and there are some strokes that are hard for some people to have legally, breaststroke being one of them because of that specific kick that you must have. And so the athletes that are in this 200 medley relay, really, I just want to point out that they have to have 4 legal strokes. The turns are very technical, and so there's a lot of aspects to this event that make it one of the harder events. I think some athletes might say that the 500 freestyle is harder just because of the length of it, but really when you're looking at the technical aspect of the sport, this 200 medley relay is difficult. And so the fact that we have our 3 varsity swimmers, but also have 3 JV swimmers, says a lot about the team and that depth that we have with our athletes that are able to compete in this event. With those 4 legal strokes, and in theory could swim then any of those strokes in any event that we have on the board.
most certainly. And of course, especially for the JV roster, it's a good opportunity to get even more of that variety in this current heat.
You'll see Selena Sang, she's in lane 5. Breaststroke is her specialty, so you will see her slowly but surely catching up here.
Right in lane 5 there.
Yep.
Selena
right now,
Sang for Kennedy.
Yep, but it looks like we have Amelia Baird in the lead. Amelia was a first-year swimmer last year. She is now in 8th grade. So she joined the team as a 7th grader, which is the youngest that you can join the team.
Wow. Yeah, and she will develop quite nicely, especially with the skill that she's displaying here in the JV heat. Getting a lot of encouragements from her teammates beside the pool.
Something that we're lucky to have. So as we were talking about
yes.
things that are different, at first we didn't know if we would be able to have all of our athletes on the deck being able to cheer for one another, but that is a very important part of this sport. It's hard to just race all on your own, and you need that encouragement from your teammates.
Yeah, Kennedy definitely bringing the home pool advantage here inside Oak Grove Middle School on this Tuesday night. Glad you could be with us on BEC-TV for Girls Swim and Dive. And finishing up here for Kennedy in lane 5, Selena Sang. And coming up next, the Varsity 200-yard individual medley. Kennedy right now with a 23-7 lead. They look to build on that in this next heat. Kennedy scoring a total of 13 points in the last varsity heat for the 200-yard freestyle. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, Courtney, with Kennedy not diving, they're going to need to get as many points as they can here in the swimming events here tonight.
Yes, so diving in lane 3 for Tri-City United, Mallory Plutt. And then for Bloomington in lane 4, Libby Lazinski, lane 5, Sohi Such, and lane 6, Chloe Serbescu.
And so Kennedy really out to a nice start here, especially in lane 4, Libby Lazinski.
Yes,
as she's leading the pack down the way.
Libby is taking the lead, and she has really just grown in her strength this past year or 2 years. It's so much fun to see her in the water. Her specialty is backstroke, as you'll see her getting into backstroke here. Just that turnover, that pace that she's been working on for the last couple of years. The strength combined with some technique work and pacing work has really created a solid backstroke for her.
Oh, certainly, and she's also looking to build a little bit bigger lead off of that too. And again, this is the 200-yard individual medley for Varsity. And a really strong performance, as we mentioned earlier, by Libby Lazinski in lane 4 for Kennedy. Also, we got a nice battle here in 5 and 6 for Kennedy. And Sohi Such and Chloe Serbescu. Sohi Such now in lane 5 getting some distance for Kennedy.
And you'll notice that Sohi and Chloe are starting to catch up just a little bit. Both are breaststrokers, and so this is their leg of the individual medley that they are really strong at. Libby had that backstroke with her huge strength, and now Chloe and Sohi gaining a little bit of yardage with their breaststrokes. And TCU
certainly
putting out a great race as well.
Yes, and of course, currently the only swimmer for Tri-City United in the pool right now, Mallory Plutt. Only a freshman for the Titans of Tri-City in lane 3.
Much like the Eagles, Tri-City United also has some young talent. So their team also has some younger girls that are really starting to build that team up. They have some great older athletes as well, but I think they mirror the Kennedy Eagles in some of that, the numbers on the younger side.
Cheers all around inside. As in lane 4, Libby Lazinski finishes for Kennedy. And coming in second place in lane 5, Sohi Such, and then Chloe Serbescu in 6, as Kennedy will take the top 3 spots. And in 4th place, Mallory Plutt finishing the freestyle portion of the individual medley as she touches up. Another good round for Kennedy.
All right, and now into the 50 freestyle. So into the sprint part of this meet.
All right.
So the difference between what we were just seeing, those were really kind of endurance or like mid-distance events. Now we're going into sprinting. And so there's the 50 freestyle early in the meet, and then the hundreds are all later on in the meet. And so you're going to see some different athletes overall.
Should be an interesting mix as we are almost ready and set to get the junior varsity heat started for the 50-yard freestyle. As you can see the graphic on your screen. Maisie Hoffines in lane 4 for Kennedy. Mia Tolzman in lane 5. And Shane Perriello, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in lane 6 for Kennedy.
Cheyenne Perriello, yes.
Cheyenne Perriello. And in lanes 1, 2, and 3 for Tri-City United. In lane 3, Elizabeth Odenthal. And in lane 2, Brianna Schroeder. And in lane 1, Brianna Erickson for the Titans. Another small delay here. All right, we are underway.
So you're seeing great streamlining, great kicking. The thing with a 50 is that every little thing matters, from your dive to your streamline, your kick underwater, breaking the water, and then going into your stroke. These turns are going to be paramount. So you will see different people taking the lead off the turns, depending on that streamline, depending on the kicks off the wall. And this really looks like at least a 3-way potential for first place. We'll see how it all works out.
Perriello making it close for lane 3's Elizabeth Odenthal for Tri-City. Very close. Looked like Odenthal got that one.
So Odenthal with first place, Cheyenne Perriello in second. And third place, Mia Tolzman. Fourth place, Maisie Hoffines. Fifth place, Brianna Schroeder. And sixth place, Brianna Erickson.
And now comes the varsity heat. Tri-City United really picking up speed there on that last 50-yard freestyle.
Yes, and they have some great sprinters. So this should be an exciting race to watch.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, hope you're ready for it. I know I am, certainly. Very important for Tri-City United to get some of those much-needed points back. All right, so we are underway.
And again, just that braking, you can see it looks like we have about a 3-way potential for that first place as they go into the turn. We'll see what it looks like as they come off the turn. Natalie Wenner breaking the water first.
Natalie Wenner out in front.
Looks like Natalie Wenner's out in front. And Hannah Peterson just
look at
grabbing that
Peterson.
first place.
Grabbing first place for Kennedy, and it's going to be really close between lanes 3 and 5. Ellie Sladek and Natalie Wenner. Very close finish for second place. We're going to see who gets second and third here.
So as we were talking about them having a young team, even if you're just looking at the 50 freestyle, they have a 7th grader, 9th grader, and 10th grader. So Tri-City United does have that younger team with some great talent on it.
Very much so. A lot of great speed demonstrated. Definitely gave Kennedy a run for their money. And with those 50-yard sprints, they will definitely develop into, and for what Tri-City was hoping for, a much faster unit.
Yes, and so after this, we are going into diving, and I believe that we are taking a break during the diving portion of the meet.
All right, yep, and that is correct. While we get ready for diving, we're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Girls Swim and Dive here. The Kennedy Eagles taking on Tri-City United. We'll be back after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching BEC-TV.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of you, of your families, or your children. Asking you to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point. Asking you to put yourself in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring you all the way home, to keep you secure, to have your back for the rest of your life. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
She actually, at practice yesterday, she was diving. She was.
Ready to go? We now proceed with the diving competition. I will read off the order of divers. First up, Kendallin Souter. Second diver is Lily Traxler. Third diver is Kaylee Barrington. Fourth diver will be Kaylee Berger. Oh, Callie. Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, what? Okay. Kendallin, his first dive, 5211A, back 1.5 twist, straight 1.8. Judges score 2.5, 2.5, and 2. Lily, a 5211A, back 1/2 twist, straight 1.8. Judges score 4.5, 4.5, and 4.5. Callie, a 5211A, back 1/2 twist, straight 1.8. And the judges score 4, 4, and 3. Callie, 5211A, back 1/2 twist, straight 1.8. (5211A) back 1/2 twist, straight 1.8.
And the judges score 3, 2.5, 2.5. Miss Sauter, a 5211A, back 1/2 twist. No, strike that. 101A, forward dive, straight, 1.4. Judges score 3.5, 4, and 3.5. Miss Traxler of 401C, inward, tuck, 1.4.
And the judges score 5, 4.5, and 5. Miss Barrington, a 401C, inward, tuck, 1.4.
Okay, so this is next, right? What? I'm back to 1, right? You should be on number 4. Oh, I should be on number 4 now? Oh, okay, that's why. Okay. He's on number 4. Okay, Miss Berger, a 401C. Oh, score, I'm sorry. 5.5, 5.5, and 5? Second dive for Miss Berger, 401C, inward, tuck, 1.4. And the judges score 4.5, 4, and 4. Kendallin, a 201A, back dive, straight, 1.7. Judges score 2.5, 3, and 2.5. Lily, a 202C, back, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.5. Judges score 5, 4.5, and 4.5. Miss Barrington, a 201A back dive straight 1.7. And the judges score 4, 5.5, and 3.5. Miss Berger, a 201A back dive straight 1.7. Judges score 4, 3.5, and 3.5. Miss Traxler, a 103C forward, 1 1/2 somersault, twist, 1.6. (103C) forward, 1 1/2 somersault, twist, 1.6. (103C) forward, 1 1/2 somersault, twist, 1.6. Oh, tuck, I'm sorry. Scores are 5, 5.5, and 5. Miss Barrington, a 101A forward dive, straight, 1.4. And the judges score 4, 4.5, and 4.5. Miss Berger, a 101C forward dive, tuck, 1.2. Judges score 4.5, 5, and 4. Lily, a 102C forward, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. Judges score 4, 4.5, and 5. Miss Barrington, a 102C, forward, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. Scores are 3.5, 2.5, and 3.5. Miss Berger, a 102C, forward, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.4. Scores are 3, 2.5, and 2.5. Lily, a 302C, reverse, 1 somersault, tuck, 1.6. Judges score 4.5, 4, and 4. Miss Barrington, a 301C, reverse, tuck, 1.6.
Judges score 3.5, 3, and 2.5.
Miss Berger, a 5112A, forward, 1 twist, straight, 2.0. Whoops, scratch on that. Good. Okay. And that completes it, right? And that completes tonight's diving competition.
Back at Oak Grove Middle School for the second half of girls swimming and diving here on BEC-TV. Glad you could
All
join
right,
us
we
here
are
on this
back
Tuesday
with
night.
the
Great night
Kennedy
to be inside
Eagles
next to the
versus
pool.
the
I'm Alex Redding, by the way,
Tri-City
sitting alongside
United
Courtney Ramirez,
Titans.
Kennedy Eagles swimming alum, also one of the assistant coaches as well, or former, I hear. All right, and so the first
Just
heat
coming
of the
back
second
from the
half
diving
is underway.
break.
And we begin with the girls'
In
100-yard
lane
butterfly
3
for the
from
junior
Tri-City
varsity.
United, Elizabeth Odenthal. In lane 4 from Kennedy, Dakota Lewick. In lane 5, Logan Merton.
Also,
and
just
lane
a quick
6,
recap, ladies and
Cheyenne
gentlemen. 13
Perriello.
was the score for the diving portion. All right, so very, very big lead right now for Kennedy on lane 4 as we are already underway here in the second half at Oak Grove. Glad you could join us, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the final two swimmers finishing their rounds in the pool. And a lot of noise inside Oak Grove Middle School right now. Also, as I was about to mention earlier, just a quick recap of the first half of swimming. The Kennedy Eagles out to a very strong start, 48-13, but of course Tri-City United got 13 in the diving portion. Kennedy with no divers in tonight's meet, so Tri-City getting some much needed points at the diving break. And they wind up with 26 on the board, Kennedy with 48. Of course, that is always going to be changing here as we move through the second half.
That was a great heat of 100 butterfly.
All right. Now the girls' 200-yard freestyle for the varsity. Or correction, reading the wrong side of my paper here.
We are on the 100-yard freestyle, junior varsity currently. So we have in lane 1, Kylie Tolsman. In lane 2, Brooklyn Kale. In lane 3, Kendra Westfall. Lane 4 for the Eagles, Audrey Crippen. Lane 5 for the Eagles, Ava Price. And in lane 6 for the Eagles, Sasha Nicholson.
All right. Score is now 54-30 in favor of the home team, Kennedy Eagles.
And it looks like we have Audrey Crippen taking the lead just by about a body length. And we've talked about it before, but these turns are so crucial. So you'll see as people go into the turns and come out of the turns, they will be at different places. So depending on what that technique is like within the turn. And we have Audrey Crippen finishing first. One of our new swimmers, Sasha Nicholson, in second place. Ava Price in third place, all from Kennedy. And then we have Kendra Westfall in fourth place. Brooklyn Kale in 5th place. And now just touching in lane 1, Kylie Tolsman. Now on to the varsity heat of 100 freestyle.
All right, so we are almost ready to go for the varsity freestyle. And Kennedy occupying the last 3 lanes of tonight's meet. Tri-City with the first 3, and we are already underway. Tri-City out to a really nice lead in lane 3.
This is some of that young talent that we were talking about. They have great sprinters on Tri-City and great sprinters with Kennedy, so this should be a great race. Tri-City clearly taking the lead here by about a body length as we start off and just about to finish the first 50 of the race.
Ella Schneezing with Tri-City already to a really great advantage. And again, really nice push-offs by her, and again, as you mentioned before, those are really critical on those turns. Tri-City turning that around, so to speak, here in this heat. Tri-City has done a really nice job, of course. They had a nice leap forward in points. They got 13 of the diving break, if you remember.
Yeah, so we talked about that earlier in the broadcast. It was so crucial that Kennedy got some of those 1-2s or 1-2-3s early in the meet because they knew that they were going to be losing points with diving. So it was important that they planned ahead, got points early because they knew that they would be losing 13 points automatically to Tri-City in the diving. But now it looks like it's been pretty strong on both sides. They've been pretty good matchups here in the last couple of heats of varsity for the 100 fly and then the 100 free.
Ella Schmeising in first place and Hannah Peterson in second place. Good finish for Kennedy, though. They get second.
And just a reminder for scoring for swimming as we come off the diving break. First place gets 6 points in individual events. Second place gets 4 points, and then we count down 3, 2, 1 with 6th place receiving 0 points. So if you are scoring at home, that is what you are following for the scoring portion of this meet.
All right, so now on to the girls' 500-yard varsity freestyle.
And we were just talking about sprinting. We just came off the 100 freestyle with a sprint event, and this is going to be our distance event. So we're really looking at endurance. We're going to be able to look at some of the different techniques and race strategies that the Eagles have and that Tri-City United has as well. There's different ways to go about this event.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who kind of starts off in the lead and how the teams differ in this area. And even just within teams, swimmer to swimmer, there's different techniques and how people decide to approach the race.
Katie Bell, the only swimmer for Tri-City United, occupying lane 3. Kayla Schletty in lane 4, Annika Anderson in 5, and Sydney Rose in 6 for the Kennedy Eagles, as you can see there moments ago on the on-screen graphic. And we are underway. Really, really nice lead for Kayla Schletty in lane 4.
So during the break after diving, I was able to go down and talk with the team, and our 500ers do have some serious strategy, some goals that they're looking to meet. I was able to chat a little bit. I was helping them do some math and figuring out what splits, what times they needed to get on their 50s in order to get the time that they're going for. You'll see throughout this event that there are going to be times where the cards are shaken, times when the cards are flipped upside down, and those are all different ways of signifying to the swimmer, the counter signifying to the swimmer what they need to do. So in general, a card flipped upside down means that you need to go faster. You're not meeting those splits that you need to get your goal time. And shaking it is really just like kind of a way of cheering.
All right. Yeah, and I did wonder what those cards were for, but thanks so much, Courtney, for filling that in, because that is definitely very helpful to know, especially, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not too familiar with swimming. Well, a lot of great information in tonight's broadcast, a lot of great swimming action as well.
Yeah, so as we're talking about counting, it's really hard. It's really easy, I should say. It's hard to count a 500. It's really easy to mess up if you're counting a 500. And so having those counters at the end not only are great to help you in terms of counting, but it's also a communication tool as well.
Well, and especially with the 500 grueling yards, these swimmers will have to race against each other.
I was able to chat with the captains a little bit, and they said that for the Eagles, the momentum on the team is just great. Everybody's excited to be home. Same thing talking to the coaching staff. Everybody's excited to have a home meet. It is the first home meet of the season, and it's just different when you are swimming at home. When it's familiar, when it's the place that you practice every day, there's just something different and special about that. And so everybody's very excited about the home meet. The girls said that they were very happy, and they're able, when they're at home, there's different traditions that you do. And so to be able to get back to those traditions was really fun and important. And I also had an opportunity to look through. I have access to best times, at least for the season, and we are dropping time like crazy. So this is the third meet of the season. They've had one meet a week for the last 3 weeks. And so in order to drop time at this point in the season like they have is actually pretty impressive, not only because of having meets once a week, but this is where the practices get a little bit harder, and so your muscles are more fatigued. And then on top of that, we're throwing in school too, and so those full school days as well. So this can be a time of the year where it gets hard to drop time, but we can see athletes pushing through. And then actually next week they have a break, so next week is a really big training week. And so I think that the athletes know that they have to put it all out there this week at this meet in order to kind of prove themselves, and then it's a lot of meets after that, about 2 a week until the end of the season.
We certainly wish these young athletes the best of luck in that, of course.
And Kayla Schletty is just about an entire length, or about 3/4 ahead of every athlete.
Kayla Schletty overall has done a really, really nice job setting the tone for her team tonight in many of the different events that she has had to swim in.
So you will see if you were able to see at home, but lane 5 just flipped that card over, so the 11 was upside down, signaling to that swimmer that they needed to pick up the pace, that they were not on target with their goal splits. So that's just kind of a unique thing to learn at home when you're watching a swim meet and learning about some of the technical aspects to the sport. There's also a great race going on between Annika in lane 5 and Sydney in lane 6. They do go back and forth in meets. In practice, they swim a lot of the same events, and there's definitely a healthy dose of friendly competition between the two of them. And so you'll see that they're kind of going back and forth tonight as well. One of them will sneak ahead for a little bit, and then the other person catches right up.
Annika Anderson being signaled to pick up the pace just a little bit more. That sign dropped upside down for the second time. She is definitely picking up the pace in lane 5. Very great evening here, folks. Glad you could join us inside the friendly confines of Oak Grove Middle School next to the pool. Kennedy out to a 62-38 lead so far in tonight's contest. Well, update from Bloomington Stadium, just across the way, the Kennedy Eagles dropped their soccer match tonight 3-0 against the division rival Chaska Hawks. And the girls' game should be or is underway. And again, you can go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/BEC-TV to catch all the live action, as well as our website at BEC-TV.org. And if you want to catch up on some swimming and soccer action this fall sports season, check out our video on demand page.
And Alex, I think you just heard the bell going off for Kayla Schletty. So when they have 1:50 left, so there's a 50 left, the officials will go stand at the end of the lane of the first place person, and they ring the bell to signify that they have a 50 left. It's a way not only to signify to that person, but also to the other swimmers in the pool that somebody is a 50 away from finishing. And it's a point of honor, so it's a big deal that Kayla Schletty got that bell tonight.
Definitely indeed. Hard swim for Kayla Schletty. Applause all around inside. She will tag up for first place.
And that is a pretty big time drop for Kayla so far this season, about a 9-second time drop. So that's the kind of momentum that I was talking about that this team has right now. They're excited to be home. They're excited to be at this meet. And things just change when you are at your home pool. So great swim for Kayla. That's the type of time drops we've been seeing time and time again tonight.
Definitely making it that much harder for Tri-City United to come back against these fearsome Kennedy Eagles in their home opener this year.
But from all the athletes, this is a hard race. This is a race about endurance, and it's not just physical endurance, it's that mental endurance as well. And so from every athlete, there's been a lot of strength during this meet. It's a hard race. It's not a race that people like trying for the first time. And so it's great. From every lane in the pool, we've seen some great physical and mental endurance to get through this race.
Annika Anderson finishing in second and Sydney Rose in third. Kennedy will take the top 3 spots in lanes 4, 5, and 6. Tri-City United will tag up last in lane 3, courtesy of Katie Bell. Of course, Bell still finishing her laps in the pool. Getting some much-needed encouragement from her teammates beside the pool.
And that red card signifying that she is on her last length of the pool, last 25. She finishes here just crossing the halfway point.
And there she comes, almost to the finish. Even the Kennedy side of the pool giving her a round of applause as she finishes up. You know, you gotta love the sportsmanship here tonight at this meet. You know, it's so great to see both teams cheering. And, well, not just for their own teammates, but for the other side.
And that's a beautiful thing about swimming. I think that is something that transcends most teams, is that idea of sportsmanship and being excited for the other swimmers. Obviously, there's those points of competition and pretty heavy competition, but there's also the point of recognizing that it's a hard sport and it's challenging, and just cheering each other on. And the swimming community is pretty small, and so you are able to get to know swimmers not only from your community but other communities as well. So overall, a very supportive sport. And then we are just about to get back into relays. So if you are just joining us, you didn't see the first part. Scoring for relays, again, you're only going to score varsity, but we are about to start the JV heat. But scoring for relays is 8 points for first place, 4 points for second place, and 2 points for third place. You can only score 2 relays, or 2 lanes in a relay event.
All right, so the relay is underway. These teams started the night with, of course, the mixed medley relay, if you remember.
Yes, and now in lane 2, swimming for Tri-City United, we have Aliyah Jubarian, Samara Fries, Kendlin Sauter, and Talia Buckingham. And in lane 3, Kylie Tolsman, Amanda Prigge, Juliet Ramirez, and Julia Odenthal. The Kennedy Eagles do not have any swimmers in this heat.
Well, Tri-City trying to take, of course, advantage, and they will. Because Kennedy does have, as you've mentioned, no swimmers in this relay, they will look to close that gap even further. Again, a very young Tri-City team.
Young and strong. You can tell that there is definitely an air of just wanting to make improvements, wanting to do better. A team that is seeking to cheer each other on and trying to do their best. You can see that from the way that the coaches and athletes are interacting, giving that little feedback here and there, and also from the way that the team is cheering for each other.
All right, and officially the next set of swimmers are in for Tri-City.
Now, I know, Courtney, this is a very young season for these Kennedy Eagles, but what are you most looking forward to coming up in the schedule?
Well, our last official meet of the season, our last dual meet of the season is against Jefferson, Bloomington Jefferson, and so that is always a fun meet, a little crosstown rival. We also, I believe, get to see Robbinsdale Cooper again in our season, and that is a fun team that we go back and forth with. So every time that we swim against them, they were actually our first meet of the season, where we got our first win of the season. But again, with Robbinsdale Cooper, I believe we see them again this season, and that's always just fun. You never know. We both have similar strengths in our teams, and you never know who's going to come out ahead. It usually comes down to the last event or two, and so that is really fun in a swim meet when it's not a score where clearly one team is ahead or one team starts exhibitioning points. We love it when it comes down to that last relay, that 400 freestyle relay. So we're just finishing up. We have lane 2 just about to finish for the JV 200 freestyle relay. And next up will be the varsity.
All right, everyone taking their position at the diving board end of the pool. And in lane 1 for Tri-City United, we have Brianna Eckerson, Brianna Schroeder, Lily Traxler, and Kaylee Barrington. And in lane 2 for Tri-City, we have Elizabeth Odenthal. We also have
Mackenzie
Asklin.
Kaya Krokak, and Brooklyn Cahill. In lane 3, we have Kendra Westfall, McKenna Street, Mallory Plutt, and Natalie Lundahl. They are just stepping up on the blocks, and we will give you the Kennedy swimmers and lanes once they start.
All right. Waiting for the signal. All right, we are underway. So in lane 4 for Kennedy, we have Dakota Lueck, Zoe Such, Maddie Perlick, and Kayla Schletty.
In lane 5, we have Olivia Kaufman, Sydney Rose, Selena Sang, and Chloe Cervescu.
And in lane 6 for Kennedy, Audrey Crippen, Ava Price, Natalie Graymont, and Annika Anderson. And again, this is the 200-yard freestyle relay.
So a few things to note here. This is a 50, each person swimming a 50, so it's a sprint. You're going to see people getting up and getting after it. And these relay exchanges are really important. They're critical. They can really take a lot of time off of your race. So you will notice that they're doing flyover starts, relay starts. So that person up on the block is getting ready. The idea is that as soon as the person in the water's fingertips are touching, your toe just needs to be on the end of the block. So if you're seeing really fast starts, they're really almost like over each other, in one person in the air, one person in the water. You still have to have a toe on the block as the person is touching the wall. But if you're seeing really fast starts, that ideally you're almost over the top of each other. And the Eagles are just about to finish their third length. We are about to have all of our fourth and final swimmers diving in. Kayla Schletty in lane 4, being the first swimmer in, leading the pack. And Tri-City United not too far behind.
Although Tri-City, they did come back in a couple of these events, getting some much-needed points. And of course, excluding diving, by the way. So Tri-City has definitely been gaining some heat.
So it's always interesting because that first part of the meet is very different from the second part of the meet. The second part of the meet, you have your hundreds of each individual stroke, and then you have more relays at the end of the meet as well. And so some teams maybe do really well at the beginning of a meet, and some teams find a lot of their strength at the end of the meet. And so it's always interesting to see how teams match up throughout the meet. Some teams can start really strong, and then other teams can finish really strong. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like as we get a little bit further in the meet here. And now we are starting the 100 backstroke.
with our JV heat of 100-yard backstroke. In lane 2, Talia Buckingham from Tri-City United. Lane 4, Mia Tolsman from Bloomington Kennedy. Lane 5, Sasha Nicholson from Bloomington Kennedy. And then lane 6, Maisie Hoffhines from Bloomington Kennedy.
Now, Alex, I'm pretty excited about this. We have 2 rookies on the team,
Ooh.
lanes 5 and 6. So again, as we're talking about putting people in different events earlier this season than we normally would, a lot of the time, first-year swimmers are going to be swimming mostly the 50 and 100 free. And right now, we have them swimming non-free events, so that is great to be seeing.
Yes.
It shows great strength in the team, that encouragement, and the ability for these swimmers to kind of have that growth mindset and that idea that you might not be perfect at something, but you should still try it and you're going to get better and better.
Most certainly. Sasha Nicholson, only a 7th grader. Maisie Hoffhines, an 8th grader, so definitely a lot of youth in lanes 5 and 6 for the Kennedy Eagles.
Yes, and Maisie Hoffhines, our 8th grader, is siblings with one of our seniors. So I think that's been a special thing. One of our senior captains, Grace Hoffhines. It's been special for the 2 of them to get to share this one season together of swimming as siblings.
Tolsman out to a really nice lead in lane 4 for the Kennedy Eagles. Doing very well here on the backstroke. And of course in lane 5, Sasha Nicholson doing very nicely as well. And again, Sasha Nicholson, only a 7th grader. And again, a lot of noise from the Kennedy Eagles inside the pool arena here tonight at Oak Grove Middle School. Glad you could be with us. Alex Redding alongside Courtney Ramirez and our BEC-TV crew. Kennedy has had a very positive night in their home opener here, leading 85-44. As you can see there in lane 6, Maisie Hoffhines. And Kennedy will take places 1, 2, and 3, Tri-City finishing in 4th. And that will complete the junior varsity 100-yard backstroke. And now it's on the varsity heat.
I'm excited for this race. I think we are going to see some best times. I also want to note Tri-City United has a great 7th grader swimming backstroke in lane 3.
Ella Schmiesing.
Yes. So this should be a great race to see across the pool.
In the pool for Kennedy, Libby Lazinski, Amelia Baird, and Natalie Manroe. All right, and we are underway in the girls' 100-yard backstroke for the varsity heat. And as you mentioned, a really, really strong swimmer, Ella Schmiesing, out to a great lead here in lane 3 for Tri-City in the backstroke.
Yes, and you can tell Lazinski in lane 4.
She's
really
catching up.
Trying to up that tempo, trying to catch up. It does look like Ella has about a body length ahead of her.
And again, those turns critical. Another good turn for Ella Schmiesing. But again, Libby Lazinski right on her heels.
And if you look to Amelia Baird, Natalie Manroe, also really picking up that tempo. there's just something in the air right now. You can tell when it's race time. You can tell when there's something big going on, and it's clear that the team's pumped up.
Most certainly, and as you mentioned, checking in with the coaches at the diving break, there's a lot of positive energy on Kennedy's side of the pool.
There's a lot of positive energy. Even just being able to talk about, they were talking about some things later on in the week, even at practice. They're ready to do big things this season. They're talking about it. They're not only just talking about what it's going to look like at this meet, but also what they're going to be doing big things wise for the rest of the week to get them prepared for the end of the season and for their meets up to come.
Big win for Ella Schmeezing of Tri-City United, the Titans, with a good win there on the backstroke. Now we move on to the 100-yard breaststroke for the junior varsity heat. Courtney, any key things that stand out to you here as we are about to begin the JV 100-yard breaststroke?
Well, I do want to highlight one of our seniors, one of our captains, Grace Hoffhines in lane 4. She is a 6-year senior, so has been on the team since 7th grade and had a swimming career prior to being able to join the high school team. So she is one of our breaststrokers on the team and is very excited. I was able to chat with her as one of the captains at the break. And she just said that there's something super special about tonight being that first home meet of senior year. For the Eagles, we also have Audrey Crippen in lane 5. And in lane 6 for the Eagles, we have Olivia Kaufman. So another rookie, again, swimming not just those freestyle events. So we're having rookies going in and swimming non-free events, which is great. Shows a good amount of depth to the team and shows that we have rookies that are willing to try new things.
Most certainly. Grace Hoffman's out to a nice lead for Kennedy, but Olivia Kaufman staying right with her.
And Alex, just looking at the score, it looks like the Eagles might be exhibitioning at this point. So you might be seeing where the home score stays the same and the guest score goes up. In swimming, you have the ability to exhibition. Once you've reached a certain amount of points, when the other team can't catch up, they do have the option to exhibition. And I did get a text confirmation from the coach as well that the Eagles are exhibitioning. So we will not see the point total for the Eagles going up for the remainder of the meet.
All right, thank you so much, Courtney, for the update. Kennedy has been very strong throughout this meeting between the two teams in both the individual and relay events. Really nice swimming in this JV heat for Kennedy on the breaststroke. Grace Hoffhines finished first. Olivia Kaufman in second. Audrey Crippen in third. Julie Oldenthal in fourth and in fifth. The last swimmer to touch up, Kylie Tolzman. And again, as you mentioned, Courtney, by the way, folks, the Tri-City points for JV will count this time because of the score differential.
The JV points will not count, but the varsity, the next heat will. So we will see that 85 staying for the Eagles, and Tri-City Titans score will still continue to rise. So we should basically, it's just focusing on, I just wanted to mention that 85 will stay for the Eagles. So I didn't want people to think that our scoreboard, that we weren't keeping track of that or anything.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for the correction. Of course, now it is time for the varsity heat, the 100-yard breaststroke. You can see the on-screen graphic moments ago. Those are your swimmers.
So in lane 1, we have Katie Bell from Tri-City United, Mackenzie Asplund in lane 2, Natalie Lundahl in lane 3, and for the Eagles, swimming in lane 4, Chloe Serbescu, lane 5, Sohi Such, and in lane 6, Selena Sang. So I will say for the Eagles, we do have quite some depth in the breaststroke. So there are a few of our breaststrokers that are continually going back and forth looking for those spots. We can obviously only have 3 people swimming varsity at a time. And so we are always, there are always some movement within the Eagles because we do have some depth on the team in terms of the number of breaststrokers that we have. But it looks like Natalie Lundahl from Tri-City United is in first place here, leading the pack.
Lundahl in lane 3 for Tri-City.
She has a great glide if you're just looking at the technique that she has. She has a great glide and she has some great power through her legs and her hips. And that's a key to breaststroke, is that power on your lower half of your body.
Chloe Serbescu turning to close the distance here on lane 4 for the Kennedy Eagles. But of course, really good consistency on lane 3 will pay off for Tri-City as the Titans will finish first in the 100-yard breaststroke for the varsity heat. Kennedy will finish second with Chloe Serbescu in lane 4.
And of course, the last two Titan swimmers finishing up their laps in the pool. Mackenzie Askeland in lane 2, just now finishing, and behind her, Katie Bell in lane 1.
And just like that, we are already about to start the last event of the meet. We have first our JV heat and then the varsity heat of the 400 freestyle relay. Alex, this is a tough relay and it's something tough to swim. You're sprinting a 100, but it's at the end of the meet. A lot of these swimmers have already swam 3 events. They're tired, they're worn out, and they're still giving it their all and sprinting for this last event. Like I said, there are definitely meets that come down to the last event, and you have to give it everything that you possibly have. So it's not that it's just that they're swimming a 100. You have to remember that in the last 2 hours, they have swam, many of them, 3 other events as well.
Well, certainly one more true test of grit for these 2 swimming squads for the JV and varsity. 400-yard freestyle relay. It's the JV first.
And only Kennedy has swimmers in the water for this first JV heat. First up, we have Sydney Rose. Second is Maisie Hoffhines. Third is Mia Tolsman. And fourth is Sasha Nicholson. So this is also really hard. It's hard to be the only person in the pool. It's hard to be swimming alone. This happens sometimes, especially at that 400 freestyle relay. Some strategy behind it is that if you have swimmers coming off the backstroke and the breaststroke, varsity swimmers that are going to swim the varsity 400 freestyle relay, as I was mentioning, it can sometimes be the meet changer, and so you want to give them a break. And so sometimes you might just have one heat of JV in there, one lane worth. And so these girls are swimming hard. They're focusing on best times, but you can swim 2 individuals in 2 relays or 1 individual in 3 relays. So by the end of the meet, on a team about the size of the Eagles, and I think Tri-City United has about a similar sized team, you run out of people to have in the pool. So we want to make sure that we have a JV heat, but also a lot of the times there literally aren't enough swimmers left to be able to have that second lane. And so it's tough when you're swimming alone, but you got to give all the more credit to the girls that are in the pool right now because they're just racing themselves and racing their times without anything to go off of.
Most certainly. And of course, this is much needed rest time for both varsity and JV for Tri-City as well, of course. Kennedy currently leads with a score of 85-63. And again, the first of our final 2 events already underway. Kennedy, the only team in the pool for the 400-yard freestyle relay for the JV.
So as I mentioned, the Kennedy Eagles do not have any meets next week, but then they have 2 meets the following week, and I believe that we are broadcasting all of the meets. They should be available on BEC-TV. And so we hope that people are joining us back for the other meets of the season. We have, I believe, 5 more meets this season, and all of them will be broadcast as we do not have fans in the stands. So we are looking forward to that.
Great point to mention it as well. And hey, by the way, folks, if you've ever missed a swim meet or any of our other events covered this fall sports season, head on over to our website at BEC-TV.org or even our Facebook page at facebook.com/BEC-TV to watch on demand on your phone, tablet, TV, or wherever you are.
So it looks to me that we have Mia Tolsman currently in the water. I will say one nice thing about knowing this team and knowing them well is that I don't even have to look at my cheat sheet for this. I can just somehow, even though they have swim caps and goggles on, I'm still able to identify them even just by their strokes, which is a little bit different than the masks we've been wearing recently, where you can only see the eyes and, you know, can't see the nose and the mouth. Opposite with swimming, their foreheads and eyes are covered, and so you have to get to know them by the look of their stroke. So Mia Tolsman really picking it up here as she is just finishing her last length of her 100. And diving in after her will be Sasha Nicholson, 7th grader on our team, the only 7th grader on the team this year. That's a really big feat too, to be a 7th grader on a high school swim team. Not only are there, you know, it's tough. You have to perform at a certain level. You're around high schoolers all day long. Luckily, the Eagles have a great atmosphere where our middle school athletes are just welcomed with open arms. But it's very cool when you are able to start in 7th grade and you have the opportunity to be a 6-year high school athlete. There's not many athletes across sports that are able to say that they participated at the high school level for 6 full years. So it's a great thing that we are able to offer a few athletes, those few that are able to start in 7th grade on the swim team.
And of course, there is so much hard work. I can't even imagine the work that you just have to do to get to that position. Even as a 7th grader, that takes some serious dedication, I'm telling you.
Are we going to hear cheers? Again, we were talking about that supportive environment. Cheers from both sides of the pool. Everybody cheering on Sasha Nicholson as she finishes up the 400 freestyle relay for the junior varsity.
And it's no wonder why she does so well, especially with the support that she gets from her teammates, both during meets and even during practices, etc. I mean, probably during the school day as well, I'm sure. And of course,
yes,
now within the times that we are currently experiencing, that's going to be a little bit different, but there's plenty of support there.
Yes. And we are about to start our varsity heat, the last heat of the meet. 400-yard freestyle varsity.
And of course, expected to be one of the best heats of the night. Of course, a little adjustment there with the platform, and we are almost ready to get underway. All right, and the final event of the night, the girls' 400-yard freestyle varsity relay is in the water. Big battle going on in 3 and 4.
For Tri-City United, in lane 2, we have Brianna Erickson, Kaya Krokak, Katie Bell, and McKenna Streed. In lane 3, Ellie Sladek, Lily Traxler, Kaylee Berger, and Ella Schmiesing. In lane 4 for the Eagles, Hannah Peterson, Dakota Lewick, Natalie Wenner, and Libby Lazinski. In lane 5, Maddie Perlich, Sohi Such, Amelia Baird, and Kayla Schletty. And in lane 6, Annika Anderson, Ava Price, Natalie Graymont, and Natalie Manroe.
Sladek and Peterson had a really good competition, but Peterson already starting to pull away there on lane 4. Really nice start to the relay. Next set of swimmers in for both squads. Kennedy
and there's
in first.
There's some great strategy to relays, and where you place different swimmers. So traditionally, you have your fastest swimmer as the anchor or going last, but there also is the idea of what's called shotgunning a meet, and so putting your fastest swimmer first. And so it's always interesting to see what teams do different techniques in terms of that race order and how that can change the race overall.
Look at Dakota Lewick in lane 4 for Kennedy. She is just turning on the afterburners, or those huge jets of hers in the water. She is gliding really nicely, especially those strokes. Really, really well done.
And I mentioned earlier Dakota Lewick being one of those younger swimmers on the team. Actually, it looks like everybody in the water for the Eagles right now. That young team that we were talking about, the young team that in a couple years is going to really have some strength to it. So it's exciting as we watch. And I know that Tri-City United is having the same type of thing on their team too, where they're a young team and they are looking to grow over time.
Most certainly. And in lane 4 for Kennedy, off to a really, really nice start with her turn in the relay. Natalie Winner. What are the juniors on this Kennedy swim squad, rather?
Like I said, just look at that endurance as we're seeing people sprinting in the water. But this is the end of a taxing competition. Lots of swimming, lots of endurance, lots of just willpower needed at this point for all of the athletes. So just recognize they are pushing through their fatigue right now, pushing through their fatigue to get those places and the times that they're going for.
Great meet tonight, I must say, with all the endurance in mind for both of these two squads, for Tri-City United and Kennedy. And Kennedy will most definitely look to take tonight's meet in a really stellar home opener, I must say, Courtney, here at Oak Grove.
Yes, it has been. I think we all can be very proud of the Kennedy Eagles.
They definitely showed up tonight and defended their home pool.
Tri-City United, a lot of great finishes throughout some of the meets tonight that we have seen from the Titans. And again, a very young squad, as we've mentioned several times throughout the broadcast. They've also swam really nicely.
We didn't do any commentary about diving, but Tri-City had some great diving as well. To be able to have 4 divers, 3 diving varsity is a feat in terms of the swimming and diving programs. There are a lot of programs, the Kennedy Eagles included, that do not have any divers, and that scored them 13 points. And that is a big deal. Those 13 points are a big deal, and it's a big deal that they have divers, that they have young athletes that are getting introduced to the sport of diving, that they have started to hone their craft, and that's great, because we need divers in high school sports, in college sports, and so to see teams that have good diving programs is awesome.
And for the diving, by the way, Kaylee Barrington, Kaylee Berger, and Lily Traxler for Tri-City United. Lily Traxler, only a 7th grader.
And then I believe that they did have one diver, Caidlyn Sauter, diving junior varsity as well. 8th grader Caidlyn.
Final swimmers finishing up here for the relay.
Lane 4 taking first place for the Kennedy Eagles. Lane 5 taking second place for the Eagles. Lane 3 taking third place for Tri-City United. Lane 6 taking 4th place. And lane 2
taking that 5th spot.
They're just finishing up here to culminate our evening swimming event.
And Manica Street to finish out our night here next to the pool inside Oak Grove Middle School, and that will do it. A very, very well played meet by both squads, of course, but Kennedy especially defending that home pool very nicely in their season opener here live on BEC-TV. And I know that there is no crowd, but I'm sure there is quite a crowd at home. I guess you can call it that of sorts. And again, viewers, we appreciate the time that you took to watch this program, whether it be live or on demand. And of course, continue to follow updates from us here at BEC-TV as to all of the swimming and diving coverage this fall sports season for both Kennedy and Jefferson. And so final thoughts on the meet. What were kind of some of the strong points that you're going to take away from tonight here, Courtney?
Well, I can take away some excitement. I think that there is just an air of being excited that they are able to compete. I think especially for those senior swimmers, it's a big deal that they get to have their senior season. And for all swimmers, I think just that they are able to compete. It's the sport that they love. They dedicate a lot of time, energy, and effort to it. And so I just love that the girls are able to come out and have fun. You could tell that they were having fun. It wasn't just strictly about competition. It was about being a good teammate. It was about sportsmanship, and it was about enjoying the time that they were having. And I think that was really clear tonight, aside from the actual events. So we know that there were a lot of best times, a lot of great swims, a lot of nice races between the two teams and within teams. But it's very important that we just point out that they're having a lot of fun. And I think that's really important.
Especially this being a very young bunch of swimmers for both sides. And again, you talk about the development that all of these athletes are going to go through with them being so young. I mean, especially to do it in a very fun atmosphere. They're only going to get better, of course, from this point. But I believe substantially, especially for Kennedy with the way they performed today. But even Tri-City, too. And in certain events, they did phenomenally well.
Yes, and it looks like our final score came in with the Kennedy Eagles at 85 and Tri-City United Titans at 75.
Very nicely done.
A victory for the Eagles at home.
All right, that'll just about do it. Inside Oak Grove Middle School, again, the Kennedy Eagles are the victors in their home opener, 85-75 against a very, very good and young Tri-City United Titan team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for our entire crew, this is Alex Redding alongside Courtney Ramirez saying good night from Central Bloomington.
Good job, sir.